Hey, hi Dean.
Hey,
Aloha, how are you?
aloha. How are
How
you,
are you?
Tina?
I am doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. For this episode, let's recap what we discussed in the second episode, which was that you found out that your brother
Hmm.
was admitted to the ER and he had COVID and he had double pneumonia,
Hmm.
which wasn't as serious as yours, but it is still serious.
Yes, absolutely.
So, do you mind giving us an update on your brother's condition at this time?
Well, the last time we talked, he just got it. It was bad, not as bad as my condition was. So they didn't keep him in the hospital that long, just 3 days. But he had to come home with oxygen and steroid and also antibiotics.
Wow.
However, I think I mentioned too that he wasn't proning because it took me to up to this month. This is the end of the fourth month of my recovery time to realize that proning is very important. It's a crucial process to assist all the COVID patient to open up the lower lung and be able to maintain the oxygen saturation and breathe and heal faster.
Mhm.
Uh, so the first 4 days he did not prone, and even though I kept telling him, and I knew he didn't because his wife told me that his oxygen level was like between 98, I mean 94, 95 with
Okay.
oxygen assistant. So I said, okay, you did not prone because if you prone and you have used oxygen, your saturation would go above 96 because that was my personal experience as well when I was in the hospital. I prone for the first week, and then my oxygen went above 95 because it wasn't going above 95 at all. And then it stayed pretty good for a few days. Then I went back into laying on my back, Dean, and then my oxygen started to go down to 94 for two
Okay.
days. Then I went back into prone until I was discharged. But
Okay.
that's what I do. Mhm.
Tina, can you explain what prone position is in case someone doesn't know what that is?
Yeah, yeah, that sure. Yes, prone is like you just lay face down on your stomach. Basically, that's what it is. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to sleep that way unless you grew up sleeping like that. There's a few people I knew that sleep like that. You can get your prone pillows from Amazon.com. Okay, that's helped a lot because that's what I use right now too. On my fourth month, I'm still using it, and so basically just face down your stomach on your bed. Not a comfortable position, but for all COVID patients, especially when you admit in the hospital or you lack oxygen, please flip over in that position. It's going to save your life. It does save my life, save my friend's life because I call my friends to when she was in the hospital. One of my friends was in the hospital, and I told her to prone because they weren't proning her in the hospital. And
Wow.
so she asked the nurse to help her to flip her over. And she said she monitored it on the screen on pulse oximeter at the hospital, like I did too. She said, "Yep, it changed. Her oxygen went up." So she's actually doing well right now.
Wow.
And I did ask her too, like a couple of days ago, like, "Hey, do you feel like that proning position helped you?" When I told you, she go, "Absolutely." She said, "Huge, huge improvement."
So your friend started proning and her oxygen levels is
Went up.
getting higher.
Yep.
And your brother started proning and he didn't believe in it. But after he started to prone, his oxygen levels started to
Next
go.
day, next day from 94, 95 to 98, they sent me that picture of the pulse oximeter.
Mhm.
And since then, he's been proning without me having to nag on him because you see it yourself and you feel different. And you don't want to be on oxygen assistance for a long time. It's not good for your lung. And,
Right.
and you want to be able to heal faster too because this virus, if you're not trying to get over quick enough, it can revert back. It's quite dangerous, Dean. To me, I feel this is a very dangerous virus.
Okay. So when you were in the hospital and you were proning, you also mentioned you also looked at the oxygen levels to see whether it was
Oh my
affected.
God, I was like paranoia. I look all day because I was told by the nurse. Well, luckily I had a nurse who also had the the coronavirus. in early April.
Wow.
Yes, and so she actually shared her experience, which is very comforting. And she told me prone, Tina, it's very important to prone. And I think it was going on for her 6, 7 months when I met her, and she said she still was proning and it helped. And she said it's very important, Tina, for you to prone. So I did, and I noticed my oxygen in the beginning would never gone up above 94. So
Okay.
that's low. Even with the 100% oxygen help, I was not holding oxygen in my lung because I wasn't able to breathe on my own. So as I prone it the next day, I see it's going up. So I look, I watch the monitor. So I'd be like watching that monitor all day long. Every time I open up my eyes, I just look up, making sure that it's above 95, 96. So I would prone like Dean about 22 hours a day. Even when I have to eat, I would just eat sandwiches only, face down, because it's just easy to eat. And I didn't have to roll over because it was difficult to even make any movement at that time. I wasn't able to move without gaping for oxygen.
Wow.
Yeah, I was always gaping for oxygen constantly, even if I move sideways or I move up and down. A tiny movement would be a lot of exertion. Any kind of exertion is not good at that time. Yeah. So we
Okay.
try to reserve that oxygen. Yes, I did that.
So proning is actually crucial. You think proning is actually crucial for
Yeah.
someone to recover?
Yeah. If anyone watched, and followed through in the beginning of the virus, um, a lot of hospital actually have prone. I don't know if they have done any study to it, if the prone works, but it has worked on me. I noticed work on my girlfriend who was in the hospital and on my own brother right away. So and even now, when I like I told you, I was feeling good the first two. I mean, I was getting better after the when going on the third month, but all of a sudden I just felt like, whoa, I can't breathe real well again. Remember, Dean? Then I realized that was the time that I kind of went back into my sleeping on my back for like 2 weeks.
So
And
even though when you got out and you thought you were out of the woods, sleeping on your back affected your breathing.
exactly, exactly. Because when I got depends on the severity of our lungs, Dean. Mine was bad, so it took a long time, about 2 months, to for the inflammation to go down, for the
Mm.
lung to heal. So by sleeping on the back, the doctor told me that your lung organs is in the back. So when you sleep on your back, it doesn't allow your lower lung to open. It's actually shut it down even more. So I would have to face down prone in order to open up the lower lung.
Is there any way you can show us where the lungs are in the diagram behind you?
Oh my God, let me see. That's crazy. That's crazy. I think it's right here. Can you see that in the chart?
I could see
Yeah.
it.
It is not that quite clear. I'm a neuromuscular therapist, so that's a fancy word for massage therapist, though. But I don't do like regular massage. I work on pain management of my clients, so that's why I have all these chart on trigger points. But anyway, these are the lungs, in the back. But um, what's interesting is I normally massage my client in the front and along the rib cage and along the sternum. So that's where all the trigger points are, like right below the lower lung. So that's kind of interesting. You know, when I was going through a process of recovering, Dean, I also used like a little yoga ball, and
Okay.
I would lay prone on top of it at the bottom of my sternum and lower lung. So I would just roll that ball over, and it does help opening up my lower lung as well. So I was able to recover a lot faster and breathe better. Yeah.
Mhm. So
Mhm.
you started proning after you realized that your oxygen level was getting lower when
Mhm.
you're sleeping on your back. So how did you notice when I know because you're a very active woman and
Yeah.
you like to go hiking, you like to go walking. Can
Yes.
you tell what the difference is, such as when you came out of the hospital and you weren't proning, how far could you walk? And then when you started to prone again, when you noticed the difference.
Oh yes, absolutely a big difference because um, the first 2 months I prone every night, and I was able to walk. In the beginning, no, the first couple of weeks was very difficult, and then it was just like a step at a time, and I was able to walk like 1 mile, 2 miles, and I think after 1 month, I was able to walk about 4 to 5 miles. And still I get tired, but I would stop in between walking, you know. But I noticed that my lungs open up more, so I felt better, right? And then the third month, that's when I start to like lay on my back because I'm like, okay, I'm healed now. But then I started to feel like tight, harder to breathe, and I wasn't able to walk as much as I used to. It's just like a lot less, a lot less. And I'll be like catching my breath. I'll be like, why does it feel so heavy? Why?
Right.
And I was like, kind of panicked, like, wow, what's going on? I thought I was getting better. And then I don't know why. It just intuitively, I just say, you know what? I tried to do the spirometer, just do breathing exercise. I did yoga, meditation, breath. I did all kinds of exercise. I still went out and walked, but I wasn't able to walk as much as I did before. And even when eating, it was hard to eat and not feeling tired, or even talking. I have a hard time talking, to
So
especially
just simple everyday tasks were now not simple everyday tasks. It took extra effort to do them.
extra effort. Yes, yes. And that's when I decided on the fourth month going back and prone again up until today. And I noticed the the difference now of improvement. I can talk longer without feeling tired. Like I think the last couple of times, the first time when we did the interview, I was still having to like take a deep breath. That was about the time that I went back to not feeling well again. And now I can walk longer. Like actually, this past week I started to jog a little bit, not much.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And not feeling like heart palpitation or like something extremely tight in my chest, and not able to take a deep breath. And I think it has a lot to do with prone. And I checked my oxygen level, the saturation actually is still pretty high, pretty good. You know what's interesting now, Dean? I have gone through a lot of anxiety and PTSD during the first couple months,
Right.
and I would check my pulse oximeter every 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes all day long, even nighttime when I wake up, just to make sure that my oxygen is high and my heart rate is high. I mean, it's at between 60 to 100. But now in the past couple weeks, I have not been checking like I used to. So maybe I think I'm sort of slowly, coming back into, a better healing now, and I have to say proning would be the main reason that actually helped with this healing. Has to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many hours do you prone today?
Well, pretty much I went to bed. I would go to bed, just lay in bed and watch TV about 6, 7 p.m. So that's when I start proning already. And then I would just fall asleep and I'll be up. I get up early, like 4 or 5. So that's how long I prone. So about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would say about 10 hours. And sometime in the afternoon, let's say if I lay on a sofa, I watch TV, I would just put the pillow and just lay again on the stomach and just have a pillow on my on below my lungs or my chest and just lay on top and watch TV. So still gonna be in prone position. I'm trying to like keep myself in that position most of the time, Dean. So it sort of helped a lot. And definitely, I haven't been looking at my pulse oximeter these past couple weeks. I mean, maybe every other day that I check, which is very uncommon, very unusual. So maybe I'm just starting to feel better. So this is something I would like to share with those who are listening to this, interview, that give it a try, or someone who's in a hospital, tell them to do that prone because it can save your life. I think that's what saved my life. The more that I think about it now, the more I feel like this what's on top of everything else. It's just a little bit everything besides the plasma, the antibiotics, the steroid, and oxygen. Prone is one of them that I definitely think is a crucial part of healing and recovery. And
Okay.
definitely, they should do some study about that. Yeah.
So, in addition to pruning, I know that you started taking supplements, and you never took supplements before.
Never. All my life, Dean. I hate taking any supplements, any pills. I'm not a pill person. I believe everything's just like, okay, your body produces stuff. But also, I'm a very, very, as you know, I'm very extremely active person. I
Mhm.
used to do CrossFit 5 days a week. Then I do massage on my clients like 2 hours each, back to back. And after that, I would go like take dance classes or any different activities, and I would go hiking on top of doing weightlifting on the weekend with my girlfriend. You see, so I actually probably overdo it, and I never take any vitamins, anything. So in the hospital, I noticed they would give me a daily vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc every day. And I noticed a lot of patients has been giving that as well, and especially on vitamin D. And I actually looked up on a lot of YouTubes, listen to a lot of doctors, different doctors talks about that vitamin D's play a crucial part in healing. Now, I would like to share something interesting with you, Dean. Before I got COVID, my blood test showed lack of vitamin D for
Okay.
COVID. Yeah, and my doctor told me, hey, Tina, take like 2,000. Um, what is that called? UIEI? Is that what it is?
Or something.
Yeah, of vitamin D, but I never did because I never liked taking anything. So now, when I was discharged, Dean, I started taking vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, niacin. Um, I also take multivitamins and B complex, as well as the um, histamine block and an allergy pill because I also have a history of allergy. So I think it helps to the lung. It has been helping actually. So I've been taking that ever since I was discharged from the hospital, and I feel better each day. I feel a lot more normal, even though it's not exactly 100% yet, but actually a lot better because I used to feel like everything just all swell up. So, I mean, I'm still swelling up, but it was worse. I just didn't feel myself before, you know.
Right. I
Uh,
know that now
mhm.
that you're more able to communicate more, because I know when we used to communicate, it would be very short and brief because
Yes.
you weren't able to focus. So it seems like now that your focus is being returned more. That's from my perspective.
Yeah, yeah, I have agree with that. I'm a little more bubbly, a little more alive. Where before, I think I did mention to you, Dean, one of the symptoms, we have many symptoms besides fatigue is one of them. And I
Mhm.
believe fatigue is because of lack of oxygen or not able to breathe, take a deep breath. So that's why a lot of patients tend to have a lot of fatigue, which makes sense. Now I don't feel as much at all because I can get the full, breath now. Where before it was always like a blockages. We can't take a full deep breath. And that's because of inflammation or infiltrates that we have. Um, then the focus is not there. Hard to focus, even texting or even carry communication is very difficult. Always tired. Of course, I think lack of oxygen is a big major reason to it.
Right.
Um, and then there's other symptoms that I have too that I never share is extremely dry skin and dry hair, and I lost a lot of hair and nerve and extreme headache, which I never have headache before, and my stomach just feel like bloated all the time, like a balloon. Um, Oh, the muscle mass. I lost a lot of muscle mass. I mentioned it to you. I get a lot of pain, which is interesting. Dean, when I was in the hospital, I noticed, I'm not sure what it is. It's either muscle tendons or blood veins got really hard. And when I touched my forearm, it's very painful. It's like soreness or bruised.
Wow.
And it's been going on for like a couple months, like 3 months. So I think that's why a lot of people felt that the muscle soreness, that's what they mentioned, but it's just all soft tissue. So it is affecting the soft tissue in our body. Uh, it actually, I heard some doctors said that it burned all the muscle mass, in our body, this virus. I don't know if that's the fact, but I did notice that my muscle mass has decreased as well. you know, and then a lot weaker. I'm not able to go back and do weightlifting like I used to. Not yet, at least not this time. But I'm planning to do it hopefully next month and see how it goes.
Good, good.
Yeah, yeah. Still a little tired too. I'm not 100% yet. Not yet. I will be able to tell you when I'm like 100%, and you'll be able to tell. That's for sure.
Well, I'll just share with you that I think you look good right now from before.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I can
Yeah.
tell that your energy level is much more vibrant.
Oh,
You're much
God.
livelier.
For me, you know what? You're right about that, Dean. Naturally, I'm a very bubbly person, as you know me for a long time. But during the first couple of interviews that we did, it was very hard for me to be bubbly, and it's not that you just couldn't. You're just exhausted. Your body just could not operate the same way it used to. And not because I was not wanting to or depressed, anything like that. No, you just don't have that energy. It is so weird to describe. Um, and I'm sure a lot of COVID patients gone through the same thing as I have. You just can't. You look in yourself mirror. You look like a different person. There's no glow in your face. There's no energy in your face. It is weird to describe that, Dean. Yeah. But now I notice I'm a little more bubbly, a little more coming back into myself. You know. Um, so I think it's going in a good direction, and this is why I think it's good to share, what I'm going through, what I did to make it better, what kind of suggestion I'd like to give to the listener who have this experience or know someone who have gone through this and be able to help them. Of course, everyone's going to be different, but because this is so new, this COVID is so new for even for all the scientists and medical field and CDC, they are still discovering and learning at the same time as all the patients going through it. And there has been a huge study all over the world. So it's kind of nice to kind of be able to kind of share personal experience and what you do to recover. And maybe somebody else behind me can copy and be able to get well better as well.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I think this is a good stopping point, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So um, we will continue this our series next week.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we are glad that you're able to gain some information from this. And again, this is just Tina's experience of what she went through and how she wants to express and share this with everybody. So I thank everyone for watching this,
Thank you.
and
Yes.
we'll see you next week.
Thank
Right?
you, Dean. Aloha. You have a
Bye.
wonderful day,
Thank you,
okay?
man.
Talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye bye.
Bye.